An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Benjamin Franklin. My friends, each and every day, your best investment in knowledge is spending 10 to 15 minutes with us for your long-term financial health, growth, knowledge, success. If you'll just spend that time with us, you will learn how the markets work. And it doesn't cost you anything but your time. But as I say over and over again, that's the most precious commodity that you have. So spend it wisely. Track these markets with us. I've been getting some emails. I get them occasionally sort of in spats. This one is about, Tom, I see your method. I hear you talk about it, but I'm not quite sure what all it involves. Well, you will see most of it covered. In fact, I'm going to put links throughout the course of today's video, and at the end of the show, there will be as many links as I can put on the screen to the latest trainings that we have on the golden ticket, the average true range, how to set your profit and loss bands, the always successful formula, all those things that we have that we put out lately that deal with these charts that you see at TradingView with the Heikin-Ashi candlesticks, with the 200 EMA, with the STC, and then how to follow the charts with us. I'm going to put all that out there. Not selling that to you for $2,000 or $3,000 for some training course that promises you the world and delivers nothing. No, we're giving this to you for free. If you appreciate what we do here, then of course support us at Patreon. We have a lot of expenses every month, as you guys well know or you can imagine. And we do appreciate our Patreon supporters. They are just wonderful, and we thank you for your kindness to us. And also, they get a lot of benefits. In fact, after the end of today's show, I'm going to be recording the 20 weekly vertical crossovers for the week. Yesterday, I put out the Charting Crypto, that special in-depth crypto charting charts that we use, all of the different ETFs and cryptos that we look at. In addition, once a month, we have our live question and answer call-in session. That's typically the first or the second Wednesday of every month, 12:30 Eastern Time here in the States. We record that, send that out as soon as it is done. If you can't join us, we'll deal with your questions, the ETF stocks you want us to help you backtrack for practice trading. And of course, when you sign up, we immediately send you the 3-part series, Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way. If you want to learn about options, we got it for free at any of those 3 levels to support us at Patreon. Let's jump into these charts. We see stocks and Bitcoin. No, I'm sorry. Just stocks are up. I'm looking at BITI. That's the inverse of Bitcoin. Stocks are up for the day. Everything else, that's 20-year bonds, gold, and Bitcoin, are down. Let's first jump into stocks. Now, when I say up, not a lot of up here. What do you see when you look at the half-day chart? You can see lots of down movement, recovered a little bit in the afternoon. Now, these are Heikin-Ashi candlesticks. They are calculated completely different from the high open, low close. Got a great training online. Just put in Heikin-Ashi candlesticks. Our training is the #1 that'll pop up at YouTube. You will see it, and it will explain to you how that calculation takes place. We think it works better than standard candlesticks. It helps you actually see what's going on with price movement, incorporating prior closes, these closes, openings, highs, lows. You can see it all there, and I think get a much better feel for what's actually going on. We see lots of downward movement in the morning, bit of recovery in the afternoon. We're still negative on the STC. Even though the market was up a little bit, 0.13%. Where are we on the 2-day? Of course, it recently went negative, still showing quite negative. And where are we on the weekly? It is still positive, but look at how strong this downward momentum is this week after last week's down move. Had a little bit of up movement last week. That is gone this week. No wick on top. So again, lots of downward pressure on things. We are waiting for the STC to reset on this half-day chart since we moved through the 200 EMA. And of course, that shows us our trend went from positive to negative. And of course, we made a nice little click there on the way up. After it crossed over, we haven't had an opportunity to jump in because when the STC went from green to red, we were still above. We needed it to move down. You don't have to get greedy, folks. There's thousands of ETFs and stocks to trade. We're just showing you 4 that we track every day, and when they're ready to trade and ripe, we jump in. But they aren't always, and we don't have to capture everything. The reason we set up the rules as we set them up is because that's how they work best. If you trade with the trend, it tends to work for you. If you trade opposite of the trend, you can get very burned, like if you jumped in early when it was going up. And again, we will simply follow the rules and watch ourselves win. Will you win every time? Of course not. If anybody had any kind of trading strategy that worked every time, I mean, that's impossible. That is impossible because there's so many inputs and things going on in the market. So what you do is you give yourself the best advantage. And if you've taken our always winning formula training, you know that if you follow the suggestions that we give you in how to trade that way, you only need to win 4 out of 10 times. You can practice trade that and prove it to yourself. We're not a stock calling service. We're an education firm. Just listen to the training. Follow it. See if it doesn't work. Do you think you could maybe guess right 4 times out of 10 at least? I mean, can't you take a dart and throw it at the board and win half the time? So this is even less than that. Give it a try. See how well you do. So let's keep moving on. We see where we are on the S&P 500. Now, the NASDAQ 100 barely up 0.04%, but still positive. What do you see down in the morning? Recovered a little bit in the afternoon, still quite red. And like the S&P 500, down on the 2-day, it crossed over red on the STC. And the weekly still positive. Again, another week of down movement. Even stronger over the last 2 weeks on the NASDAQ 100. So hoping we're going to see things reset on stocks to give us the opportunity to jump back in. Going down, where are we on 20-year bonds? Down for the day 2.02%. And my friends, we've been waiting for this, haven't we? Haven't we been waiting for this? We saw things move up, went from green to red to green, and then boom, moved over, giving you an opportunity to jump into a down move. It set up. It didn't set up right to begin with. We talked about this. It's what happens when you try to do things on the fly. You wait till you pass through this little gray area. Do you see that in the middle? See the line at the bottom, line at the top? You don't trade on down moves or even up moves that occur in here. You have to have things go all the way down. Now, again, we wouldn't have taken this up move. Why? Because we're below the 200 EMA. But we're below the 200 EMA now, and we've crossed over going down. So, had an opportunity to jump in into the morning, taking a short position. Now, you might say, Tom, how do I take a short position? Well, if you know options, if you've taken our 3-part training that's available for free to our Patreon members, what do you do there? Well, of course, you would look to get into a put on 20-year bonds. Again, practice trading. We're not talking about any real money here. But if you're practicing on 20-year bonds, what can you do if you don't know anything about options? How about Tango, Bravo, Foxtrot? That is ProShares, 20-year short of the 20-year Treasury bond. And what does it do? Lo and behold, it moves up when 20-year bonds move down. Isn't that amazing? Now, it's something you need to practice trade, and you need to see if it works for you. There are more fees. It is reset it's reset every single day. So if it goes up 2% one day and hits a new point and then goes down 2% the next day, it's going to go down 2% from where it closed the day before. So again, magnifying potential losses. But if you're going in the right direction, you might find that it's pretty interesting. So at least give it a try. That's what we're all about here, is you're experimenting, trying things when it doesn't cost you anything in your practice trading. Now that, and you did notice that the price is different. That's okay. The percentage is the same. It's a negative 1x. That is TBF, is a negative 1x of TLT. We've got a great training, inverse ETFs, how to make money when markets crash. I would encourage you to, again, look that up at YouTube. You will find that, and I think you will get a lot from it. It'll tell you what the inverse is of the S&P 500. That's SH. What's the inverse of P of QQQ? That's PSQ. These are single inverses. There are multiple inverses. There are all sorts of things that you can do, but we just want to give you a little something to think about. Now, when we look at what's going on with bonds, of course, we see where things crossed over. We see that the 2-day is down and the weekly is still up, even though 4 weeks of up movement, and we are well below the 200 EMA. So bonds have gone down on the weekly chart for quite a while. They went up for, what is that, 6 weeks, and then rotated back over, going down. Haven't hit the lows yet of previous back on the week beginning the 13th of June, but they're headed that way. So keep that in mind. We'll see how that practice trade goes for us. Now, when I was talking about inverse funds, here's one that doesn't have an inverse fund that works. GDZ is an inverse fund for gold. The problem with that is that it is illiquid. What does that mean? That means the difference between the bid and the ask is rather wide, and it's not something I want to get into. Once you purchase an ETF that's illiquid, it means that there's a big spread there, and you have to make up the spread before you start making any money at all. Not a good thing. So we stay away from that. With gold, if we're going to go short on gold, then of course we're looking to do that via puts. And what do we see with gold today? Oh, and by the way, 20-year bonds down 2.04% for the day. Gold down 0.88%. And of course, we had a successful trade when gold rolled over, down 1.58% a couple of weeks ago. It went on down, popped up, and then rolled over again. We did not see the green go all the way up through this middle band to reset for us. So we just been hanging out watching it after it moved up and then down again, waiting for it to reset. But again, down a little more today. We see on the 2-day, it went red on that last candle as far as the STC goes. And of course, in gold, we have been negative on the weekly chart for a while. So we'll be waiting for gold to reset for us, move up at some point and give us a reset so we can jump back in. Lastly, let's check out where we are with Bitcoin. Bitcoin down for the day, 1.89%. And of course, what's up with Bitcoin? Well, it's below the 200 EMA. We saw it as it tracked up for a little while and then, of course, started rolling over again back about mid-August. So not so good with Bitcoin, waiting for it to bottom out. We'll see it when it happens. You don't have to get over anxious. Maybe Bitcoin is going to drop down to a level on this chart of about 1830 or so. And again, maybe start building a base. Wouldn't that be great? That would be great. Is that going to happen? No idea. We look at the weekly. Of course, it's been negative for quite a while. And again, we're about that, about that 1830 point. We'll see where Bitcoin bottoms out again. And like we said, I hope it's going to make a base and then start moving up. And when it moves through this 200 EMA, I'll be ready to go long. In the meantime, guys, don't forget, keep an eye on this BITI. This is a single short of Bitcoin. Pretty interesting. Again, it's like XBTF in that it is a short-term future, closed-in future ETF, so it moves opposite of Bitcoin. Isn't that magical? So keep that in mind. Might be something for you to have fun trading. It hasn't been around very long. If you look at the chart, you see it only goes back to June, so I would suggest you use our XBTF chart to help you find opportunities to potentially jump into that on a practice trade. That's where we are, folks. Friday's coming up. I am going to be putting together the 20 weekly vertical crossovers for our Patreon members. That will go out to Patreon members both at our Patreon site, and in your emails. God bless my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters. We love to hear from you. Reach out to us, CW@chartingwealth.com.